Welcome everybody, Ravenar here, and today we're going to be reviewing the May 18th patch notes. Before we start, I'm just going to throw out a couple quick reminders that I have decided to record this without a cam on just to kind of focus on the information. If that is something that you do enjoy or don't enjoy, let me know in the comments. One other quick reminder, feel free to skip through this video. I'm going to be putting indicators about each thing I'm discussing, so you guys can skip to whatever particular part of information you would like to hear about. And on that note, make sure you check out all my other videos. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe, like, and hit that notification button. And also, quick reminder, I do stream on Twitch. I'm going to post a link to that down below in the description as well. But let's hop right into this. So this is was released on May 12th, but it's obviously PTR. So this is a couple things that they did. They actually had an XP change in there that they ended up reverting. So my quick thought on that, it seemed to be that the general consensus on that was higher ranked players did not like it and lower ranked players like it. So they ended up taking it out, so it doesn't really matter at this point. But let's go ahead and hop into the changes they are leaving. So they said that they're consistently looking at ways to increase it. They did do I guess a search term related thing. I haven't personally tested it myself, but this could be an interesting change right here to be able to type in key terms for specific things that you need, whether you need a mage, burst, camp, something that can escape. So this is an interesting change right here. So I'm pretty excited to see how this is implemented in the game once people start using it. Here's the big change. They re-added Warhead Junction and they removed Volskaya. So I've been saying that I believe they remove Volskaya because the objective on it is not very strong, but I have a feeling they're going to give it the Hanamur treatment and they're going to try to rework it and re-add it. I do not believe Volskaya is going to stay out of the ranked rotation. I'm just pretty sure they're removing it so they can try to rebalance it. They're adding Warhead though, and that is kind of the interesting aspect here. Not a lot of people are a fan of this map, so it'll be interesting to see how this map fits into the ranked rotation. I firmly believe that they have never intended on keeping Warhead out of the ranked rotation. I think they removed it when they were trying to rework it. Now they've added a teleporter of sorts, so it seems to be a little bit better in that aspect, but only time will tell. All right, let's get to the hero rework. So they've done 4 new reworks, and all of them seem to be overall buffs. So they're giving Anduin kind of an auto attack centric related kit. They've increased his auto attack damage by 20%, but they've nerfed his actual healing throughput by increasing the cooldowns on both of them by 1 second. So this is going to be a nerf on his Q and his W, but the reason they increase his AA is because of this talent right here. So he had a level 1 that would heal nearest targets when he auto attacked. This talent's going to help enable that. They're trying to make Anduins weave their auto attacks in between healing. I think this is an overall buff for him. However, it's not going to be for players that aren't used to weaving auto attacks. So healers that aren't used to that, or healers that play maybe mages, aren't going to be as effective with Anduin as maybe they once were, because it is an overall nerf to his base healing, but they kind of threw some healing into his utility kit. So let's look at his talents. This was moved from his level 16. And this was the one that when you heal different targets, it ends up increasing the healing of each target. And they just kind of reduced it because they did move it to a level 1, so it makes sense. They reduced the bonus from 20 to 10 and 50 to 40. So this isn't that bad. People are going to be like, it's a 50% nerf, but it's a level 1 instead of a level 16. It couldn't keep the same power. So overall, that's a good change here. They did this, I'm assuming, to kind of combat the nerf on this, to kind of give it a little bit more power back. The exact same thing with this. They moved this from 7. I think this is an overall good change. These are both very strong talents in their tier, so I think that it's something that could be good. Now, Lightwell moving to level 1 is an interesting one. Lightwell was always my go-to at 16. They obviously nerfed the healing of it, but they increased the charges, so you stand in it longer. I think this is going to be very strong. I feel like this might be the go-to, in my opinion at least, but we'll have to wait and see. I was always a fan of Lightwell. It does give you a bit of control that you can throw a Lightwell down and leave the lane if you need to. I think that's going to be a pretty good change. They didn't really even nerf the healing by that much. So I think Lightwell is probably going to be the go-to at level 1, but we'll have to see. So Moral Compass no longer has a maximum number of targets from the Apex attack. So that's the thing that had the little cone. Basic attack damage increased from 70 to 100%. So that's again, they're buffing the auto attack related things. And new functionality, increased basic attack range by 1.1. So this is actually pretty good. This level 4 is going to help if you want to go an auto attack related build. And increasing Anduin's auto attack range, this is a pretty decent buff to his range, I believe. So we have a new one right here, Surge of Light. Basic attacks reduce the cooldown of Chastise by 0.75 seconds. Basic attacks against rooted targets by Chastise launch an additional basic attack. So what this is going to do is Chastise is his root. So basic attacks against rooted targets launch an additional basic attack. Basically, you attack quicker, which is going to be really good, obviously comboing with his base kit. So this seems to be a really good change right here. You got another new one, Piercing Light. Chastise pierces to hit an additional target. Hitting 2 targets with a single Chastise, it permanently increases spell power by 1 to a maximum of 10. I feel like this one's going to be a little bit hard to use. It might get value on maps like Infernal Shrines or something that there's going to be constant clumping. It is unlikely that you are going to hit multiple players consistently enough to get value out of this. I see the appeal in pumping your spell power. I do not think this talent's going to be very good. The E moves so slowly, it's very easy to dodge, and this is one of those talents that might be might be better at lower ranks because, not as skilled players are going to not be as likely to dodge it, but it moves so slow that it's very easy to dodge. So I feel like this talent's going to be pretty weak. Desperate Prayer. So this was always a talent I did not think was very good at level 20. This is its burst heal, basically that you stand still and do nothing. They obviously moved it from level 20. They increased the cooldown from 30 to 40 seconds, which makes sense because it's a level 7, and they nerfed the healing. So this is basically just a burst heal, nothing else. At level 7, I don't think it's too bad. We'll have to see what other things it's going to compete with. I do not think it is too bad at level 7. So it's a lot better suited at level 7 than it is at level 20. So new talent on 13, Push Forward. New functionality, damaging an enemy hero increases your movement speed by 2.5%, amount healed by Pursuit of Grace by 5% for 6 seconds, stacking up to 8 times. So I don't think this is decent, but I don't think it's going to be game breaking. The go-to talent at this is the increased movement speed with your D. I haven't experimented a lot with the other ones, so extra movement speed is definitely the name of the game for your level 13. So we'll have to see if this can beat out the other one. It does require you to damage enemies to stack it, but overall, we'll just have to see. I don't think his level 13s have never been that impactful. They're just kind of movement speed related ones, so overall, we'll see if it brings it up to speed. So Renew, move from level 1. This was the auto attack and then your Q put on a hot. So let's see what this one does. Flash heal heals for an additional 130 over 5 seconds. The duration of this heal is refreshed each time Anduin hits an enemy hero with a basic attack. So this one is actually pretty interesting. You get to basically keep your hot on. So if you throw a Q on someone after you obviously get your renewed with proc, if you keep auto attacking, you keep all those renews up. So if you keep renew on multiple players in your auto attacking, that's constant healing that you're pumping out. That's actually really good if you are skilled enough to be able to do that. I don't know if I would be, but this is a very interesting change. Holy Nova, W, increased damage. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. Just more damage is more damage. Glyph of Faith, move from level 20. This is the double D, I'm assuming. So let's assume I like taking this if that's what it is. And then we get a new level 20, which is the Light Bomb upgrade. Target of Light Bomb gains movement speed and 50 armor for 3 seconds. I don't think that really matters too much. The Light Bomb movement speed helps with Light Bomb, obviously. And the armor, you're either going to die or you're not. Most people get Light Bomb on them to either try to save someone with the armor it gets when it pops, or to try to set up a kill. The 50 armor is not really going to do that either way, because either they're running or they're trying to kill you anyway. There's obviously 50 armor is better than nothing. I feel like this isn't going to really help, but we'll have to see since they did move some traits from 20 to see if this one gets taken. But I feel like this is a bit of a lackluster level 20, but we'll have to see. And a new one, Censure. Chastise stuns for 0.75 seconds and its root duration is increased by 0.5 seconds. This is pretty good. So for a minute, a minute, a minute, a second, 0.25, 1.25 seconds, they are CC'd. So a 0.75 stun is actually pretty good off of an E that is on a relatively short cooldown. So this is actually pretty good, in my opinion. This might be the new go-to. Being able to stun with your E that frequently will be really good, especially when you get to follow it up with a root. That's pretty strong. I feel like this might be the new go-to, because I know that the alt upgrade on the protect alt is not really that great either, so this might be the new go-to. So Anduin has a wealth of effective talents, but most of them were stuck in later tiers. I'd like to shake it up. So that was one of the things with Anduin. He was kind of a late game hero, so this is something that is to combat that a little bit, give him a bit of early game power while also redoing his kit. Overall, I like these changes on Anduin. I feel like he was kind of dull, kind of underutilized, so this should help bring him in. So I give this a thumbs up, but let's hop on to the next one. Johanna. This is a hero that a lot of people didn't think needed a rework, but she got one anyway. I don't necessarily know if I would call it a full rework. She just got the new loan talents, but we'll have to see. All right, let's hop into Johanna's talents. Reinforcements removed. I believe this was her block talent. The only one that was really worth noting was Hold Your Ground, which was the D upgrade, passive upgrade. And I know that the Law of Hope was the other one that people like to pick. So reinforcements, kind of underutilized. Not surprised that they removed it. So not really that big of a deal. Now they moved the level 7 to level 1. New functionality gains a second charge of shield glare. I feel like this is pretty good if you pick her specifically for blinds. Now I know Johanna has a pretty good niche when it comes to wave clear maps. So obviously she's always good with blinds, but let's say you got a blind heavy comp, this could be the go-to. Getting a second thing of shield glare is pretty strong here. Now I think that it's going to still kind of be hard to rival Hold Your Ground and what appears to be an upgraded Law of Hope, but we'll have to see if it changes anything. There is definitely other blind talents that you can take, so this might help enable those a little bit more as well. So Law of Hope is new functionality. Activate to heal 20% of your maximum health over 5 seconds, and it has a new questing talent. Every 10 globes collected, increase that heal amount by 5% of your maximum health. So that's actually not too bad. She gets increased healing, it looks like. And that's actually pretty strong. So one of the disadvantages of that Law of Hope has always had is after the nerf to Johanna's D, a couple patches ago, Hold Your Ground, in my opinion, kind of became a staple. And this one, even though people seem to like it, kind of fell off a little bit, just losing that unstoppable. So this gives you the opportunity to have a significant amount of healing regen, which will help you a lot. Johanna's already pretty survivable, so this kind of will, I think, help bring this talent a little bit back more. So we'll have to see if it makes it a little bit more viable. But I definitely like this change. So we have a new one. It's called Divine Fortress, and this is one of the new loan talents. Instantly gain 20% maximum health. Every death reduces this bonus by 5%. So you get 20% maximum health. And then basic attacks against enemy heroes grant 8 physical armor for 2.5 seconds, stacking up to 40. So this is actually really good. The big thing with loan talents, and it's maybe something I should have discussed before, it's very much front-loading your power, and then you lose it after you die. So if you can stay alive, this is probably going to be your go-to talent. This is a lot of health. I'm not 100% sure if this 5% drops below 20 or if it stops after 4 deaths. This could be pretty impactful if it keeps dropping you below, what your starting maximum health is. Overall, this talent's very good if you're accustomed to being able to stay alive, as well as the basic attack giving you armor. This might be the new go-to. I feel like it's going to go between Hold Your Ground and this one right here, depending on how confident players are in staying alive. Fortunately, you pick this when the game starts after you see your draft, so you have kind of that knowledge on how hard it's going to be to stay alive. So this one, I like this, and I think it'll work really well giving Johanna another avenue to go with her level 1s. Subdue moved from 7. So this was the super slow, which is actually pretty interesting that they moved it to level 4. I feel like this one is really good. So I'm curious what they're going to do with her level 7. But Subdue, always my go-to, so we'll have to see if that changes. New functionality for Eternal Retaliation. Hitting enemies with Condemn marks them for 10 seconds. Johanna's next basic attack removes the mark, lowering the cooldown of Condemn by 1 second. 1 second, refunding 10 mana and killing minions. Alright, so they kind of made the cooldown work differently. It used to be that whenever you hit a W on someone, it would just reduce the cooldown of Condemn. I guess they want to kind of move it into her basic attack kit to make that happen. I do believe that the speed is probably good anyway, but overall, I think it's a pretty good change. Hold your ground. Move to level 1. So this is actually interesting. I didn't know this at the time when I was talking about the previous ones, but hold your ground being moved to level 1 is pretty huge. I feel like that is better. Hold your ground is, like I said, was always by far the best talent on level 1 in my opinion. Moving it to level 4 isn't actually that big. If they moved it to 7, that might be a bit much. But moving it to level 4, I think is a very good change for her. And having to compete with Subdue, which is also a really good talent, I think makes this level 4 a very impactful related tier. You have to either decide whether to empower your Q, empower your W, or empower your D. I really like this change a lot, actually. And then that lets me revisit this a little bit. And now I go back. I know you're not competing with Hold Your Ground. And now you are kind of, having a bit of a different mindset when it comes to level 1. And I feel like that means that the lone talent's probably going to be the go-to or Law of Hope. But again, we'll have to wait and see. All right, so level 7, Sin's Exposure Q. New functionality. Heroes hit by Punish receive 25% reduced healing for 2 seconds. Basic attacks against them refresh this duration. That's really good. So there's going to be a lot of heroes that you'll be able to punish with this. And I think that this is a very good talent. And we'll have to wait and see, but 25% reduction in healing is pretty huge because of the fact that Johanna is most likely going to be on whatever kill target you're trying to hit. This is going to be a very good change for her. So Conviction, move from level 4. This is the movement speed one, which, was always my go-to for level 4. But let's see what it is. Bonus movement speed while charging reduced from 20 to 25 to 20. Additional functionality, gain 10 movement speed. So you gain 10 passive movement speed, which is actually pretty good. One of Johanna's weaknesses was always that she was a little bit slow, and she doesn't have any gap closers outside of Falling Sword. So this was actually a pretty good change for her. And then obviously makes sense that they would nerf this, but honestly, because of the increased functionality, it's actually going to be about 30%. So this is actually a buff because it did go up. But this is actually pretty interesting. It still might be the go-to. We'll have to wait and see. Divine Steed Charge. So this is the Urel sort of thing. Increase Iron Skin duration by 1 second. Activate to instantly become mounted for 3 seconds. Damage out during this duration doesn't dismount her. So I really like this. Now, my question is, does it stack with Hold Your Ground? That actually could give you a pretty long Unstoppable. And I really like this one. This is, again, part of the movement speed / mobility related tools that they are giving to Johanna. So I really like this change as well. I have a feeling that level 7 is made very interesting as well. You either decide whether you want to reduce healing on whatever target you're trying to kill. Like I said, Johanna's going to be on whatever the kill target is. Whether you want to have more base movement speed or whether you want to have more burst movement speed. So it's actually a really good change here. I have a feeling that overall Conviction is still going to be the pick here because of the fact that during team fights, this is going to be more useful than mounting up and running away, even with the increased duration on Iron Skin. But I believe all 3 of these are going to be viable. I just think this might be the little bit better based on just the team fight potential that it has if you don't need the heal reduction. Overall though, I love all these. I could see all 3 being viable. All right, level 10. This is the interesting one. Falling sword damage decreased from 210 to 150. Enemies hit are no longer slowed. Cast range decreased from 15 to 10, so less of an escape. Additional functionality while in the air. Allies underneath Johanna become unstoppable. This is a really weird change. So the biggest thing with Falling Sword was always its capabilities when it came to either engaging with it or escaping with it. It has never been used to protect your allies. And I don't feel like it's going to really change anything. It almost feels like it's going to have the Junkrat sort of mindset where when she's in the air, it's 4v5. Even if you are unstoppable, like you're not unkillable, you just can't be stunned or slowed or anything. I feel like I don't like this. I don't like that they put, it does do damage, but I feel like I do not like that they removed the way people were using it. I do not like, it doesn't seem like it's going to be that useful. But again, we'll have to wait and see. Level 13, Blessed Hammer. I believe this is the Spinny Hammer ability. Hammer damage reduced from 84 to 74. I don't feel like it did that much damage anyway, so I don't know why they reduced it. Additional functionality, damaging enemies with basic attacks reduces Blessed Hammer cooldown by 3 seconds. So this is actually, again, it's basic attack centric. Additional functionality, passive every third basic attack against an enemy releases a hammer. Now that could be pretty good. That might be why they reduced the damage. If it had the old damage with being able to throw out extra hammers, that might actually be pretty strong. Overall, I like this. I like the change in functionality of this. And I think the spinny hammers, if that's what this one was kind of a weird, wonky, janky, boring sort of talent. And it was only good because the other ones in the tier weren't really that interesting, which it doesn't look like they changed those either, but we'll have to wait and see. So 16, they removed, I don't remember what this one was, but I know that this is the attack speed slow. So they removed these. It looks like they're just completely redoing her 16. So we'll have to see what they do. This is a W talent, Shrinking Vacuum. Enemies hit by Condemn have their damage reduced by 25% and are slowed for 25 seconds, for 2 seconds. That's really strong. That's really strong for 16. All right, Holy Renew. New functionality. Any enemy heroes hit by shield glare heal for 5% of Johanna's maximum health and reduces cooldown 1.5 seconds. This seems really strong. If you take this, most likely you're going to take the double E at level 1. But that's one of the, functionalities you're going to get with that. This is one that you could always take just to heal yourself. And this was primarily the one I would always take, the heal on Johanna. It helps with your survivability a little bit, as well as obviously blinding your opponents. But that's really good here. And Blessed Momentum, move from level 7. Basic attacks grant 10% attack speed for 4 seconds, up to 40, lower the cooldown of all basic attacks by 0.5. So this is her CDR one. So this one I really like. I always felt like Blessed Momentum was really strong, and obviously they moved it to 16, and then they buffed it. So I really like this, and I feel like this makes all of her 16s really viable. And I have a feeling that this is going to be, all of these are going to be situational based on what sort of encounter you're in. If you got a lot of blinds or a lot of models, this one might be your pick. If you just need a raw auto attack for, other builds other talents that you took, this will be yours. And if you need to somehow reduce the damage of a particular character, like they have some sort of burst comp, for example, this might be the pick. All in all, I really like this. I think her level 16 has been made a lot more interesting. And this is going to be the Falling Sword upgrade. Cooldown reduction per bolt hit increase or impact from 3 to 2 seconds. And additional functionality, bolts hits can also hit allies, healing them for 75. That's actually pretty good. Now, the problem is, if you're picking Falling Sword, I feel like the base Falling Sword was made considerably weaker. So I feel like if you get to level 20 with that, this, while it is good in itself, you're already going to be winning. So the upgrade isn't too bad, but the base is not, I'm not a fan of. It basically turned Falling Sword into a defensive ability, but we'll have to see if it changes how it works. I just do not believe. I think maybe they should have put some base healing on maybe the basic level 10. That might have made it a little bit more viable, and then maybe pump the healing that it did at level 20. Otherwise, like I said, you're just removing your model from the fight and making it a 4v5 temporarily. So overall, the level 20 is good, but I don't believe the new level 10 is actually worthwhile. But what did they say? It's been a while since we really dove into Johanna's talent tier. Her incoming cosplay skin gave us a good chance to do that. On top of that, we're experimenting with a new lone style talent and would love to hear your feedback. All right, so anyway, my thoughts on Johanna. Overall, it's a buff. It's a nice to have. No one really asked for this, but it's nice to have kind of a bit of new flavor for Johanna. She's always been kind of there. She's always been a basic good tank, but she's always been kind of boring. So I feel like this is going to be good to maybe make her a little bit more interesting, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. All right, so what do we got next? Raynor. Now this is actually one I'm pretty excited about. Raynor is one of my more favorite characters to play as far as auto attackers go. So let's see what they're doing to him. Basic attack damage decreased from 101 to 92. I know that they're doing this because they're adding things into his talents. You know, obviously overall basic attack nerf is a nerf nonetheless. Penetrating rounds, cooldown reduced from 10 to 9 seconds. Mana cost reduced by a little bit, damage reduced. Again, I'm assuming they're doing this because of talents they're giving him. Level 1, Ace in the Hole. New functionality. So I thought this was a lone talent, but maybe not. Give him some pepper, slows enemies hit by 10% for 2.5 seconds. Penetrating round deals 25% more damage to enemy heroes that are stunned or slowed. So that's actually, instead of your auto attacks dealing more damage via Ace in the Hole, it empowers your Q. It basically makes it a Q build. That's actually pretty interesting. I feel like Raynor's never really he's had a bunch of Q talents, but they all were like utility based, like healing or extra slows or anything. This is actually pretty good for that purpose right there. I actually really like this. Ace in the Hole was always really good, but I feel like I kind of like what they did here, although it does kind of take away from his kind of flavor of being an auto attacker, but we'll have to see what they do here as far as if they recoup that somewhere else. So Exterminator, which was his PvE, increased basic attack damage against minions, monsters, and mercenaries by 50%. This is increased by 125% when Inspire is active. Inspire does not expire on friendly minions and mercenaries. So this doesn't appear to have changed very much. He just does more damage, which gives some race on things like BOE. Now this is the interesting part. Inspire does not expire on friendly minions and mercenaries. So when you use your W, you would always empower minions. If that doesn't expire, that means that you can run up and inspire a whole wave of something that has a camp inside of it when an objective is about to pop and just walk away and it stays inspired. That's actually really strong. Now it is linked to a PvE talent, which means it'll be good on maps like maybe Garden of Terror where you'll have that option. BOE, it'll still be picked because of this right here. Inspire's not really going to get as much value because while you will like maybe send a camp when the BOE objective spawns, it'll be really easy to clear. However, I do like this change. I do like what they're doing here so far. Now here's the new lone talent, Veteran's Marksman. Lone talent, increased damage of give them some pepper by an additional 60%. Every death reduces this by 15%. Quest damage bonus for hitting enemy heroes reduced from 1 to 7.5. So overall, they moved this to a Q, and then they gave his auto attack related abilities to his lone talent. Now, I've never been a fan of Veteran's Marksman. I always felt like it was kind of a bait talent. Ace in the Hole was always considerably better, and it took Veteran Marksman a long time to put out the same amount of damage that it did. So you're always kind of playing a worse version of the hero when you pick this. I love this change. So again, it's a lone talent, which means that you start out with the damage boost, and then if you can stay alive, Raynor does have a lot of survivability options. I think this is really good. So basically, you decide whether you want to PvE, whether you want a Q build, or whether you want an auto attack build. I really like all the changes here. They all seem very viable. So we'll have to see kind of what evolves in the talents and what evolves in the meta with this. But so far, I've really loved this. Behemoth, this is the obviously increased health, bonus health per hero hit, increased from 5 to 8. I felt like this talent was kind of underpicked, so this is I guess, needed change for it. People used to combo it with Veteran Marksman, I just think because they like dings, but overall, it seems like it's a pretty good talent here. It gives you increased survivability. I have a feeling if you take the lone talent, you're going to take this as well, just to kind of help you stay alive and not lose this damage bonus. But overall, I mean, a buff's a buff, but I think it will help it be a little better. Level 7, Heavy Slugs. New functionality, penetrating rounds, slow amount and duration increased by 75%. So this is obviously going to combo with this, where you do more damage. So you'll do more damage and you'll slow. I really like this Q build. Seems to be kind of a build that they want to do. I very much am excited to try it out, but we'll have to see. So this is really good change for that. Fuel the Rush, cooldown reduced bonus while Inspire is active. Increased from 200 to 300%. Adrenaline Rush, mana cost reduced from 25 to 30. That seems really good. This is basically, obviously, his heal. So if your Inspire is active, you get your E cooldown back quicker, is what it seems like, which is actually pretty neat, if I'm reading that correctly. But either way, a buff's a buff. 200, 300% is pretty substantial. Unstable Compound, penetrating round cooldown reduction per hero hit increased from 1 to 1.5 seconds. This is really good. That's a 50% buff, so you can't really go wrong with that. Level 13, Debilitating Rounds removed. This was the slow, so it basically has already been covered by the base kit, so I'm not surprised that they removed it. Let's see what they add. So new, Line 'em Up. Reduce the cooldown of penetrating round by 3 seconds. If 2 or more enemy heroes are hit, reduces cooldown by an additional 3 seconds. This is really strong, I think. So basically, instead of obviously slowing them, now you just get CDR. And obviously, you're going to be comboing it with the other Qs. So I think it's a really good change to Raynor's soon-to-be Q build, it seems like. Giddy Up. This was always my go-to before. Base movement speed increased from 8 to 10%. You can't really complain about that. A speedy Raynor is going to be a scary Raynor. So let's say 10% is probably pretty good here. And give me more EW, move from 16. I don't remember what that one does, but we'll have to see. And Rallying Cry, move from 13. So it looks like they just kind of swapped a couple of talents, new functionality, Inspire attack speed bonus by increase Inspire attack speed bonus by 20%. Passive, cast Inspire for free every 12 basic attacks. So this will be your race talent most likely. You'll combo it with your W if you take it. So overall, good change here. We'll have to see. I feel like his level 16s are pretty good. He does have the Q heal at 16, which I think will combo really well with this as well as the other ones. Q build might be the build here, which might be a little too strong. I'm actually really excited to try it now. All right, so level 20, Weak Spot removed, Execute removed. They basically just removed everything, and they reworked his Raynor's Raider. So Cavalry arrived. Give him some pepper, lowers the cooldown of Hyperion by 5 seconds if the primary target is a hero. These heroes are targeted by Hyperion for 100% increased damage. So Hyperion buff, Hyperion upgrade was always a bit lackluster, so I could see that being the pick here. Dust Swing additional functionality. Banshee basic attacks lower enemy hero's armor by 2 for 1 second, stacking up to 25 times. Armor reduction is really good to add to an alt. This one was always a little bit worse too. It just gave you more range on it and, you know, a little bit more damage. But I always felt like the Raider was just there. It never really did a whole lot, in my opinion, at least with the alt upgrade. But this one, reducing the armor, is actually pretty strong because stacking up to 25, that's going to be constant if you can keep the Raider on them. So we got a new Raider's Roll. This is the new E heal talent. Adrenaline Rush grants Unstoppable. Continues healing for 2 additional seconds. This additional duration ends immediately upon reaching 70% health. I don't think this matters. If you reach 70% health, you're going to be alive. Most likely, you're not going to get to 70% health and then just die. Obviously, if I guess I should say, you're not going to die if you weren't already going to die. If you're in the enemy base because you got gorged or whatever, you're dead regardless. This doesn't really matter, but I guess it was put there just to make sure that you don't use it at 50% health and just ride yourself up to 100 while rolling around in a team fight or something. The Unstoppable is really strong here. So I really like that they added Unstoppable to the E, and increased duration on that will help you sustain while also being unstoppable. It'll make Raynor pretty strong on here. All right, so new Sergeant Pepper activates every 3rd basic attack. Give him some pepper, activates every 3rd basic attack. I feel like that was already a thing. I don't actually understand what the new change on this is. I'm wondering, I'll have to wait and see what this is because this is the basic talent anyway. I'm assuming it does something else, but I mean, we'll have to see what they did for level 20. Executive Order, reduce your death timer to 30 seconds. Upon death, cast Hyperion towards the nearest enemy hero. I feel like death timer ones are interesting. This will get some use at lower ranks, but I feel like, you know, if you're dead, even for 30 seconds, it's still not going to be enough for your whole team not to lose. So while this is good, obviously always having a 30-second death timer, it's not going to actually help anything in late game team fights because it's not like your team's not going to die 4v5 in the 30 seconds before you res and then run back to the fight. So overall at lower ranks, maybe, but higher ranks, this isn't going to be a pick here. And casting Hyperion towards the nearest enemy hero, I feel like this is going to be such a janky additional part of the ability because you always target Hyperion in a particular direction, usually to siege or to like zone. So casting it randomly is just going to be a little bit weird. Obviously it doesn't hurt because it casts for free, but I feel like it's always going to just kind of go in a random direction based on the direction you are when you die. Maybe you'll get lucky and it'll be towards a building, but this is going to be very RNG in a way. All right, so what do they say? While Jimmy had a pretty large overhaul a while back, we definitely had some more room to make things more interesting and fun. Wanted to make sure he was still pretty straightforward to play, but wanted to inject more fun into his talent tree, especially his level 20s. All right, so overall, my feelings on Raynor, I really liked them. I feel like Raynor was always good, but had room for improvement. They brought a Q build into the mix. They reworked how his auto attacks worked, and they kind of gave a little bit more functionality to his E. I really like the Raynor change, and I am looking forward to playing Q build. Here's the one I'm most excited about, Stitches. So Stitches, tremendous buff coming his way. I've already read over a lot of it, so I can tell you that. So fishing hook or hook, additional functionality upon reaching 13. Hook range is increased by 40%. Basically, he gets fishing hook immediately at level 13. I don't think this is bad, but I have been a long believer that fishing hook should have been a questing talent similar to Medivh base quest. It should be hit 15 hooks, automatically get fishing hook. I feel like that would have been a really cool way to add fishing hook to his kit. Giving it at level 13, also fine, but I feel like the other way would have been better. But anyway, additional functionality, level 13 he gets fishing hook. That's really cool. Fishing hook was always the go-to anyway, so making it so you don't have to pick it gives you more freedom at level 13. It seems like they're trying to bring slam build back a little bit. So cooldown increased from 7 to 8 seconds. Inner area slow duration increased from 1.5 to 2 seconds, which is pretty neat. No longer deals damage to minions, mercenaries, and monsters. So that's actually good because of the next part. So they removed the bonus damage from his W and added it to his passive. So new functionality, enemies hit by basic attacks or the inner area of slam, so basically they added it right back again, deals X amount of damage, deals 150% increased damage. So basically they buffed this right here. It still triggers off of slam, but it triggers because of the passive. So now he'll be able to do extra damage when he auto attacks, which I really like. I've always thought Stitches needed something extra because he doesn't make a great main tank because of the fact that he doesn't have a whole lot of peel. But this is a really good change. I love Stitches, so I'm really happy about this. New active Shambling Horror, which I believe used to be his level 20. Activate to spread Vile Gas to nearby enemies every second. Prevent Stitches' movement speed from being reduced below 110% for 5 seconds. This is a base. This is actually really strong in my opinion. So basically he gets to use he'll pop his passive on everybody who's nearby, which will do damage to them. And then he'll also, his movement speed can't be reduced below 110% for 5 seconds. He can't be slowed and he spreads his stuff to everybody, which is pretty neat. I actually really like this as well. Obviously, it couldn't get any worse because they just added it in. All right, so here's some new functionality. Now, here's what we'll see. I've always had a bit of feelings about all of these talents, so let's see what they do to them. So the W, gain 3 armor for each enemy affected by Vile Gas, doubled while Shambling Horror is active. This effect stacks up to 8 times. Passive, increased healing received. So this is his heal talent. Whenever, he gains more healing from all of his sources and outside sources, and now he also gains armor. So this is going to be his survivability in a way as far as armor goes. This is just one way of doing it. I really like that he can get armor here. We'll have to see how it stacks up to the other ones, but overall gaining armor on his stitches is going to be pretty terrifying when he already has increased healing. I feel like when you pick this one, they're just not going to attack you. They're going to try to kill your team instead, because stitches could be near unkillable with this talent right here. All right, so Savor the Flavor. This is my go-to. This is your E talent. Hitting an enemy hero with Devour increases Stitch's health regeneration by 1.5 and damage of Vile Gas by 2%. So this might be the one you pick when you're PvEing, because if you increase the damage of Vile Gas, that also means that you're increasing the damage of your damage to mercenaries and monsters as well. So I really like this, and E is always good anyway. So I think this is a really good change, being able to increase the regeneration as well as increasing the damage of Vile Gas. New functionality on Hungry for More. This is the Globe quest. Gain 5% movement speed passive, which is nice. Gathering Regeneration Globe increases Stitch's maximum health by 30. I have a feeling this scale's higher than 30 because 30 is not very much. Every 20 Regeneration Globes increase Stitch's movement speed by additional 5%. Basically, he becomes a super fast Stitches with a lot of health. This might be the go-to if they don't have percent damage on their team. These are all very interesting talents. So what I'm seeing is this talent is its own functionality depending on what you're going for. If you have a way of consistently getting globes, this talent will probably beat out this talent. But if you're on like a map that you can't really get globes too quickly, this talent might be your team fight talent, you could say. Overall, I like his level 1. I'm very excited for them. Playtime W. New functionality, basic attacks reduce the cooldown of slam by 0.75 seconds and restore 5 mana. Hitting heroes with inner area reduces its cooldown by 1 second. Overall, they just buffed the W a little bit, which, like I said, I think they're trying to kind of bring slam build back a little bit. Overall, nothing super major here, but I like it. Tenderizer moved from 7. This is the slow, I believe. Basic attacks against heroes slowed by 25% for 2.5 seconds. Basic attacks against heroes slow by 25% for 2.5 seconds. And restores Stitch's maximum health. So he gets to heal now. That's actually really good. And Vile Cleaver, new. Basic attacks against targets affected with Vile Gas deal 35% more damage and spread gas nearby enemies. So it looks like they're really diving into his trait a lot, it appears. Overall, these seem like decent talents, but other than the heal, I feel like they're not really... I mean, they're actually pretty good for a level 4. But, pretty decent. Cannibalize removed, because I'm pretty sure... No, they didn't move it. They just removed it. Serrated Edge. So this is a hook talent. Move from level 4. Cooldown reduce from 3 to 5. Or increase from 3 to 5. Hitting enemy hero with hook also restores 35 mana. I feel like that's not going to be too good. I feel like mana's never been a huge issue for Stitches. Second helping, move from 20. This is the one I always took at level 20. Devour gains an additional charge with a 6-second cooldown between uses. Okay, that's actually a little better. Lone. Oh, this is his lone talent. As Stitches is at max health after using Devour, he gains a shield equal to 15% of his maximum health for 10 seconds. Every death reduces a shield by 3%. This is interesting. So that means that you get 2 charges of E, and you get to use them relatively close together, but unlike now where you can use them back to back, you have a 6-second cooldown between. Not too bad, but the shield is pretty nice. A 15% shield on top of a Stitches is going to be pretty nice. I can't pronounce that word. Perturbation. While Shambling Horror is active, Valgas reduces healing received by 30%. Valgas heals for 60% of the damage it deals. So basically you're just all-inning on healing off of your Vile Gas, which could be pretty good if you can use it in a clumping teamfight sort of format. So overall, level 7, decent here. I don't think that this one will be very good, but I think these two right here will be interesting to use. Fishing Hook removed, obviously. They made it baseline. They didn't do anything to his alts. What do we do here? So increase slam damage by 25. Every 6 times Vile Gas damages a hero, permanently increase the damage slam by 1 to a maximum of 75. So basically, slam build pops off at 13. And overall, this might be a decent one here because of the fact that you had to do Fishing Hook at 13. This is going to be an interesting talent to either go into Slam or they move Chop Chop, which was the auto attack speed, to 13. New functionality: hitting an enemy hero with a hook or activating Shambling Horror grants 50% increased attack speed for 5 seconds. That's going to help if you take PvE, for example. And overall, attack speed or just survivability or damage from slams. These are, I really like where the 13s are going. And the other 13 is a hook talent. I don't remember what it is, but basically you cover either your trait, your slam, or your hook. So I really like how they're kind of diversifying it out a little bit. Lacerate removed. Pulverize, move from 13. Hit enemies hit by slam, have the armor reduced by 10 for 4 seconds. That's pretty good. Again, this would go into slam build. Digestive juices, deal an additional 140 damage over 5 seconds. Basically, this is the E build where you just do more damage. And gas flare, renamed to flare up. Additional functionality: activating Shambling Horror also grants 150% damage bonus. Bonus damage duration reduced from 8 to 4 seconds. So you have a trait build with Stitches as well. So he's got a lot of build diversity, it seems like. Potent Bile, which is his alt upgrade, and Shambling Horror, obviously, they made it baseline. So they removed these two. So new level 1. So this is the Putrid Bile upgrade. Deals 100% more damage to heroes, which is nice. Each time Putrid Bile deals damage to the enemy hero, Stitches' next death time is reduced by 2% to a maximum of 80 total reduction. Half of this bonus is lost on death. So he actually doesn't lose the full bonus. This is pretty huge. So the thing is, 100% more damage, obviously really good. Now, Stitches is hard enough to kill as it is. If you can combo a bunch of this, and you don't even lose it all, half of this bonus is lost on death. Let's say you get to 40%. That means that you will respawn 40% faster, and then you lose 20% of that. So when you respawn, you're already at 20%. You don't start at 2% again. You start at 20%. So that's actually pretty strong in my opinion. Now, I've never been a fan of Gorge upgrade, but Putrid Bile upgrade is pretty legit, it seems like. Master Hooker. Amazing name, by the way. Amazing name. Reduce the cooldown of Hook by 5 seconds. Enemy heroes hit by Hook receive 100% less healing for 2 seconds. Allied heroes hit by Hook are unkillable for 2 seconds. This is kind of an interesting one. I really like it. I have a feeling, as weird as it sounds, most of the time, if you get hit by Hook, it's not healing that saves you. It's your enemy team engaging on you or using a big cooldown on you, like Divine Shield or just some sort of unstoppable, which is going to, I believe, reduce this. Overall, I do like this. The unkillable is probably going to be better if you can helping hand your targets. Making them unkillable for 2 seconds is actually pretty huge. Don't get me wrong, I think this is a decent target. And just being able to close range hook someone is actually probably going to be the more useful way that it is. It's not going to be a long range hook sort of scenario. It's going to be a close range hit whatever the kill target is, which is not exactly what the hook flavor is supposed to be. The idea of this talent is you hook someone from far away and then you kill them. But the way this talent's actually going to be used is you're going to be in melee range and you're going to hook a talent that's basically in melee range of you just to give them the reduction in healing. That's how it's going to be used. Used that way, it's going to be pretty strong. This talent might be the new go-to if you're not taking Putrid Bile. And Gas Bag. Activating Shambling Horror grants you Unstoppable for 3 seconds. Reduce Shambling Horror cooldown by 20 seconds. Unstoppable's nice, but overall I have a feeling that it's either going to be, if you take Gorge, you should probably take this, or this maybe. If you take Putrid Bile, this seems like it'll be pretty strong. But overall, let's see what they say. Our favorite large lad is back and hungrier than ever. We're giving our best beefy boy a new baseline called Shambling Horror. This also combined with new rework should make him immediately more dangerous. We also decided his old fishing hook talent should be at 13. And yeah, so anyway, overall Stitches, my thoughts on him, I love it. New Stitches rework is really good. I feel like Stitches is still going to suffer from the same issues of not being a true main tank. He's a large health pool that is really good at disrupting the enemy team. He is really good in double tank or double frontline sort of comps. He is not a good solo tank. I don't think he ever will be. I don't think he ever can be, or he's going to be too broken. But using stitches right, he's going to be terrifying. So I love the rework. I think he will be in a much better place than he is now. All right, so let's get to the last of the hero reworks, which is going to be Valla. Now, I feel like no one really asked for a Valla rework, but we got one anyway. Now, I have always been a firm believer that the only thing Valla really needed was a little bit more health. She very much thrived during the hypercarry era, where she had 2 healers on her, but she always kind of falls off when it comes to not having that because she does have so little health. Now, basic attack damage reduced, obviously, and multi-shot damage. Now, I'm pretty sure they're baking these into abilities, again, just like before. Caltrops removed. Don't mind this so much. Caltrops was always kind of a meme talent, and I know that they're putting it on level 20, but we'll get to that later. But we'll have to see what they do. They're reworking how some of her abilities work. So Puncturing Arrow. Move from level 4, which was basically her questing talent. Now, as you'll notice, she loses her race until level 7, so that is something to note. So move from level 4, new functionality, increase the bounces of Hungering Arrow by 1. Hitting enemy heroes, the initial shot of Hungering Arrow permanently increases the initial damage by 6 and refunds 40 mana. Basically, you used to finish the quest and then get the extra arrow. You start with the extra arrow now, and as far as I can tell, this might just be an infinitely stacking quest where it just always does more damage. That kind of moves Q build to a more teamfight build. It used to be Q build was strictly a racing build and a merc build, and then it would potentially do damage late game, but it was never pick for teamfight. This kind of puts it into the teamfight category a little bit more, which is nice. So new, fire at will, so basically multi-shot. Enemy heroes hit by multi-shot grant 2 hatred, enemy hero increase damage by 4. So if you're going multi-shot build, this is going to be your pick. It's really good. Increase hatred is really good, obviously. And move from level 4, Creed of the Hunter, new functionality. Gain 20% increased attack speed. Every death reduces this bonus by 5%. Every 50 basic attacks against enemy heroes, increase your damage per hatred stack by 1% up to 5. So 50 basic attacks is a little bit steep, I think, for this bonus. I think that they should have done a little bit less. But overall, not too bad. This is a lone talent, so this is just the quest that usually goes along with it is a bit supplemental sometimes. 20% increase attack speed is pretty solid. So this is obviously going to be an auto attack related build. So if you pick auto attack, you're going to go this. If you go multi-shot, you take this. If you go Q build, you go this. Now Q will also, it appears, be a damage build as well now. So all 3 of these are going to be damage oriented. It just depends on what you want to do. From a little bit of knowledge I have about the PTR, it seems like Q build is probably pretty strong right now, but all of these seem like they're intended to be viable. And obviously, if you're good with the lone talents, it seems like this will be the pick. The problem with Valla is she's very squishy, so you have to obviously keep yourself alive to get value from this, which is going to be hard as Valla with no foreseeable changes. So this talent I feel like is not going to be very good because of the fact that Valla is so easy to kill that you're going to struggle getting value out of this, whereas Q or W is going to be significantly safer. So between the two, I feel like this isn't very good, but Q and W both pretty good here depending on which way you want to go with your build. So repeating arrow, which is the vault that gives you your reset in your Q. Vault no longer costs mana. Vaulting instantly refreshes the cooldown on Hungry Arrow. This basically just makes your Q build stronger. Not costing mana is good. Valla is a bit mana intense, so this is actually a pretty good change here. You don't have to use mana to reset your Q. So many times you'll vault to reset it and then not have enough mana to Q afterwards. That is no longer going to be a problem. So overall, I really like this change. So Arsenal here, new functionality. Increase the range of multi-shot by 20% and launches 3 grenades that deal bonus damage and restore 25% mana or 25 mana when hitting enemy heroes. I really like this. Again, multi-shot build. Increase the range on it is pretty nice. I believe at 16 there's a talent. We'll see if that changes, but 20% increased range at level 4 is actually really strong when you combo it with the fact that you get hatred and extra damage from that. That's actually pretty strong. Death Dealer, additional functionality. Lower the cooldown of Vault by 5 seconds. Increase the damage bonus of Vault from 50 to 150. Increase the damage bonus of Vault from 50 to 150%. If the target dies within 1.5 seconds, refund 50 mana and refresh the cooldown of Vault. This was basically not a very good talent in my opinion. I know people who would combo it with Caltrops, but I feel like it does reset off of minions. That is one thing to note. It does reset off of minions, so it gives you a huge amount of mobility. I feel like it would be better if they did not have this and this on the same talent tier. It might be a little too busted, but if you could have this on 4 and this on 7, that would make it really good. This by itself, you're just going to go and not be able to get value from this. Now the damage bonus of Vault is really strong, especially when it goes from 50 to 150%. However, I feel like you're not going to be fighting in a minion wave, which is going to be the way that you reset this. So the most optimal way to use this is to fight in a minion wave and then kill a minion, Vault, auto attack someone, rinse and repeat. It's going to be a little bit difficult to do that when you're not team fighting in the lane. So overall, this talent's pretty weak in my opinion. Both of these are much better. It seems like auto attack build on Valla is going to be the weaker one from what I'm seeing early, which is kind of sad considering Valla is considered a sustained auto attacker. I'm not liking what I'm seeing so far, but we'll see what changes. We're only on level 4. So level 7, Monster Hunter. This is the one that makes her race. No longer reduces the mana cost of Hungering Arrow. Move from level 1. So basically, all it does is its normal thing. It does race. So now the thing is, you used to pick this if you were on PvE at level 1. Now you pick this no matter what. You would pick this, and you could still pick level 4. Or you could still pick Q on a map that you don't need to race and not pick Monster Hunter anymore because you don't get the mana reduction. All it does is PvE. And then they added a talent that gives you extra stuff with your Q. So what you do here is you take this if you're on BOE. If you're on a map that has camps, you can take this. Still very good in my opinion. This is Frost Shot, move from 16. Enemies hit by multi-shot are slowed by 20% for 2.5 seconds. Hungering Arrow deals 25% more damage to slowed targets. So this is actually going to be a pretty decent level 7. 25% more damage is pretty strong when you consider that you're permanently increasing your damage each time. That makes it pretty strong and probably why Q build is pretty busted when you get additional shots. So again, you'll take this if you are team fighting with Q build. You'll take this if you're PvEing. Pretty good functionality here. Hot Pursuit, move from level 1. This is the movement speed and mana. Increase the movement speed bonus stacked to 2.5 seconds. Again, not a fan of this. The way they had auto attack before was significantly better in my opinion than the way they have it now. It's just going to be the same thing here. It's just too janky, I think now. You're not going to be auto attacking when you have better options, I believe, unless something happens later on in the talents. This auto attack build is not very strong. All right, so Siphoning Arrow, renamed to Siphoning Arrows. Every hero hit by Hungering Arrow heals at Valla for 4% of her maximum health. Every hero hit by multi-shot heals for 2%. So basically now you can heal with her Q and with her W. That's pretty strong. You would always go this with Q build anyway. New functionality, basic attacks heal for 10% of the damage dealt, increased by an additional 2% of each stack of hatred. So if you go auto attack build, you'll go heal. Granted, again, auto attack build kind of weak at the moment from what I'm reading, but if you're taking auto attack build, you're going to go heal. And Gloom, additional functionality, heal for 2.5 health per second for each stack of hatred. So now what Gloom does is it gives you spell shield, and it also gives you heal. So Gloom is actually not a terrible one here. It gives you a burst heal that doesn't rely on hitting skill shots, as well as giving you that spell shield. If you need that spell shield, Gloom is going to be very strong here. So again, this isn't going to be good. Both of these, I believe, are going to be viable depending on the circumstances you are in. If you're just team fighting, sustained team fighting, there's no real burst on your side, this will probably be your pick. If you're up against maybe a KT that took Pyro, this is still going to be your pick. This is basically if you need a burst healing, it is a dot, or it is a hot, But if you just need something that you can activate at any time without having to rely on hitting anything because you need a bit of spell armor. So overall, this isn't great, but both of these I believe are going to be viable circumstantial. I feel like this one's probably slightly better just because it does include multi-shot as well. So overall, 13 is probably going to be siphoning arrows, but we'll have to see. So level 16, punishment. Move from level 7. New functionality. While at max hatred, multi-shots cooldown refreshes 50% faster. So this is going to be W build, which isn't bad. You get more Ws, you get more everything that comes along with that from all the other talents. Overall, 16 is a strong talent tier. That's really good. New functionality. While at max hatred, all damage you deal is increased by 10%. So if you take auto attack build, this is going to be your power spike right here, where you start doing more damage. Literally nothing you do really does more damage until level 16, but you only get 10%. Now, auto attacking, obviously, you attack fast, so 10% can add up. I do not like this. I feel like this needs to be earlier. And yes, it is true, you do get a lone talent that gives you increased attack speed, but I feel like you need to get to level 16 without losing a whole lot of that attack speed to get value from this. If you get to 16 with 20% attack speed, this talent's probably pretty strong, but that's going to be a big if. So I have a feeling this is good if you get there with all of your lone talent intact, lone whatever you want to call it intact. Otherwise, this is just 10% damage on a regular attack speed hero. Overall, again, this seems pretty strong. All right, so Death Siphon. Hitting an enemy hero with strafe increases duration by 0.125 seconds. Passive, while strafing, throw out pierce bolts that deal 34 damage and heal for 25% of the damage dealt. I've never been a huge fan of strafe. I feel like it is always a bit lackluster next to the other alt that stuns, but being able to heal is pretty strong. The level 20 strafe upgrade isn't too bad, and increasing the duration, provided no one interrupts you or kills you during it, could be pretty good. So a bit of a flavor change to strafe, which I like. New functionality for the stun alt. Basic attacks against enemy heroes reduce the cooldown of Rain of Vengeance by 5 seconds. And every stack of hatred grants 2% attack speed. When at match hatred gain an additional 30% attack speed. So this would potentially be the pick if you took the auto attack build. So they're pretty much saying if you take auto attack build, you have to go the stun because you get a significant amount of attack speed from it, which again, if you have your 20% attack speed from your lone talent and then you take this at 16, you're going to be pretty scary late game. The problem is you have to get there, and similar to what I say about other heroes, you're hurting yourself in the beginning and hoping you don't get snowballed. So good if you get there, but pretty useless if you don't. So far flight quiver, gain 20% basic attack range, and at max hatred, increase this by an additional 30%. This is really good. So this is the extra range that you get from your kit. Now I have a feeling this is going to be the pick for all builds. So even if you take all the auto attack talents, I believe this is still going to be the pick because being able to auto attack from safer range is better. And you're basically 50% increased attack range if I'm doing the math right. I'm not 100% sure how the math works on that, but you're still increased attack range. So this is going to be probably the go-to still. Neither alt upgrade is really going to be that good compared to Valla being super squishy and being able to stay at a very, very far away range. So this is probably still going to be the go-to. And now we have the new caltrops. Gain 2 additional charges of Vault. Vault drops 3 caltrops. I feel like they just wanted to leave caltrops in. Gaining 2 additional charges of Vault when you would have already been taking things that reset your Vault isn't really that good. So the reason that you get reduction, you get more charges, is to do the extra damage with your auto attacks. Dropping the caltrops has always been kind of meh. They do slow, they do a bit of damage, but they're not like anything that you really have to worry about. So overall, I don't think this is going to be a very utilized talent outside of meme comps, meme builds, whatever. It'll be a fun one to use, getting extra charges on Vault, but overall, it's just not going to be that strong in my opinion. Our resident demon hunter has one of the most diverse talent trees. That's not wrong. So our main goal there was to inject some new cross synergies, brighten up the design, and as we want to test out new lone talents. So overall, I don't think there's going to be many cross synergies. I don't know if they want you to mix Q and W outside of level 16 when you get the heal. But overall, I like the Valla changes. I believe she is stronger. I don't think she needed a rework, but I do believe this rework might bring her into an almost OP category. I've heard Q build is really strong, and I've heard that multi-shot is going to be strong as well. I feel like auto attack build is pretty much going to die out. Prove me wrong. I hope I'm wrong, because auto attack build is very much what Valla has always been built around. Auto attacking, obviously, but I feel like Q build and W build are going to very much be what her playstyles are now, which is kind of what it already is with multi-shot build versus Q build. They're just both a lot stronger now. So overall, I do like the Valla changes. I know people are sad that they're removing Caltrops from level 1, but overall, good change to Valla, and I'm excited to play her some more. All right, so let's get to the normal hero balance patches. So May, health reduced by 50, and health regeneration reduced by the most insignificant amount you could ever imagine. I don't know why this is even a thing. Someone please tell me in the comments of this video why this health exists, why this change exists. Like, what does this do? Somewhere else in her tree does this need to happen? Someone please tell me, because I, for the life of me, cannot figure it out. But anyway, it's there. And all right, what else do they do? Periodic damage 45 to 42. So W build, just a little bit of less damage, which is cool. W, I mean, obviously as a tank, they don't want her to do as much. Healing passive reduced, so heals for a little bit less from the level 1. Cone front passive reduce from 4 to 3 seconds, and ice wall cooldown increase from 50 to 60. So basically, she's slightly overpowered, but I don't think that this is going to change anything of her a little bit, or change anything of her at all. May is still a very strong hero, and I feel like she is still going to be a decent tank to pick. These changes are all pretty minuscule in my opinion. Ice wall 50 to 60 is probably the biggest change, but overall, that's not going to be a big deal. All right, so what do we got with D.Va? Mech health reduced by 50. Mech health regeneration reduced by 0.15. And trait fusion cannons bonus damage to enemies reduced from 50 to 40. They just nerfed her mech a little bit, which I don't think that this change is going to matter too much. Full metal fusion cannon healing reduced from 20 to 16%, 4%, not that much. Healing fountain duration bonus increased from 25 to 35. That's actually pretty good, because I'm pretty sure the healing fountain talent's the one most people picked anyway. Rushdown damage bonus to non-heroic targets reduced from 70 to 50. That's pretty big. And reduced healing matrix, reduced healing received increase from 30 to 35, or increased from 30 to 35. So healing matrix is going to do a little bit more healing. Fusion generator, fusion cannons bonus increase from 75 to 10. So it seems like they're putting some of her power into her late game. Micro missiles slow reduced from 35 to 30. So that's true. 35 to 30, micro missiles was a bit of the better alt. So I can assume that that's why they're doing that. Target lock duration required reduced from 1.25 seconds to 1. So that's, that seems pretty good. Stop and pop additional functionality. Bunny hop duration increased by 4 seconds. So this is the one where if you stand still, the duration doesn't go down. So they want to give you a little bit more of an opportunity to do so. That might make bunny hop a little bit better. The problem is anytime you pick a talent for the level 20 outside of Nazebo really being the only example, it never really does too much. D.Va is still slightly more powerful than we like and gives D.Va the edge over other heroes considering her capabilities of self-destruct in pilot mode. Overall, don't think that this is going to change a whole lot. They're obviously nerfing a bit of her healing and slightly a bit of her damage in the slow in her alt. Overall, D.Va is still really strong. What makes her strong is her chase capabilities as well as her bomb explosion, which they can't really change. All this is really going to do is bring her down a little bit from OP to maybe just really good. Good change overall, needs to be done, but I don't think it's going to be too overdone. So overall, good change for D.Va. She's still going to be played, but hopefully not as OP. Hogger, this is a change that 100% needed to happen because Hogger is very much S tier in almost all situations. Hog Wild, radius reduced from 2.75 to 2.625, which is good. Means that his E can't hit you as easily. Damage increased from 32 to 44. But the reason for that is per rage reduced from 1% to 0.5. So it might actually do less damage. And change functionality, damage bonus from rage not only applies to heroic targets. So what this does is Now he does more damage baseline without rage, but his rage doesn't scale as hard, and he only does damage to players. So what Hogger would do before is he was a camp taking machine because of his E, but now he's not going to be able to take machines. He's not going to be able to take camps as easily. So this isn't a bad change. And overall, I think this is very needed for Hogger. So on the prowl, healing per second reduced from 9 to 8. Good change. Brute force loot horde. Range bonus increased from 15 to 20%. Maximum damage bonus and increased damage. Okay, so this one, you shouldn't be using your trait for damage. But what can you do? Yeah. I don't really know much about Hogger, so I don't know, but I thought that was his trait. Radius bonus decreased from 25% to 20. Pummel spell power reduction reduced from 3 to 2 seconds, and no controlled decay increased by 50%. So these right here aren't really that substantial in my opinion. The big ones here are the Hog Wild and the no control. This one right here was super strong. And I think that this is a much needed nerf. I can't tell you how many times I've been wrecked, or our entire team has been wrecked by a level 20 Hogger. This is a much needed change. Hogger is inching closer towards what we feel is a healthy state of balance, but the PvE efficiency that Hogger offers is still keeping him above many other bruisers. We think increasing the baseline damage and refocusing rage towards PvP only will help this regard. So basically, they want Hogger to be more PvP and less PvE. I feel like Hogger's kit is not the best at PvE or PvP because of how random and easy it is to sidestep in a lot of situations. But I feel like they didn't overdo it. So the one thing Hogger will not be able to do is take camps as easily. We'll have to see if this moves him too far in the wrong direction because of the fact that they did nerf this. Overall, good change for Hogger because I think that he needed this rework, at least with the way he could take camps and then pressure in team fights. Hopefully it's not too much, but we'll have to see. Sonya, much needed nerf here. Sonya completely busted after the last patch. They nerfed her W build, which is what I expected. Damage bonus reduced from 50 to 40%. Increased seismic slam splash damage by 250%. Targeting a hero with seismic slam further increases splash damage by 250%, while targeting other enemies increases the length. So it increases the splash damage on the target that it hits, but it doesn't do extra damage when it splashes. So this is a very much needed change, and I think it's going to very much take Sonya out of the S tier and take her slam build out of OP-ness. Basically, what it will be now is wave clear, which is what it should be before, or actual team fight, which is you want to use slam to damage characters and not kill them with the splash from it, which is what people were doing. Overall, very good change here. And giant slammer healing from damage dealt reduced from 100 to 60%. So she just heals less. Sonya has been overperforming, so we getting a sizable decrease in strength. We're trying something a little different with Shattering Ground, separating existing benefits on its target, and we hope that this change more simply numerical, reducing its bonus. So overall, good change to Sonya. Hopefully this brings her more in line. This is going to be a big change right here where she can't just murder you with one W. And overall, good change for Sonya. Hopefully it helps remove her a little bit. Lost Vikings, don't know a whole lot about, but I know why they did this because I've already read it. Belog, health reduced, health regeneration reduced, basic attack damage reduced. Eric, same thing, everything reduced. Olaf, basically they nerfed all the Vikings' health, regeneration, and basic attack damage. So let's see what they did for traits, for talents, I mean. Damage over time reduced from 5 to 3 seconds, and damage per second increased from 5 to 75. So it ticks faster. And then what else do we have here? Norse Force Q, base shield increased from 130 to 140. Additional shield for each Viking alive increased. That seems pretty good. Again, I don't know anything about Vikings, so I'm just reading, giving my opinion based on what I see. Longboat Raid, I know, has long since been the forgotten alt of the Vikings because of the fact that it's just nowhere near as good as being able to res your Vikings. Damage per second increased. I feel like that's not going to change anything. It's still bringing your Vikings back is significantly stronger than team fighting with all three, which is not what you're supposed to do until maybe late game. Cooldown reduction increased from 0.25 to 0.31. Change functionality. Movement speed no longer decays over its duration. I feel like this is none of these really matter. And upgrade to longboat, reduce the cooldown on longboat by 30 seconds. Overall, let's see what they said. The Lost Vikings have received a significant buff to their base stats to assist their adjustment to experienced globes. And it basically says Viking players are too good, that they need to nerf them. So anyway, this is going to be a huge nerf to Vikings. I feel like Vikings weren't in a spot where they were too strong. You would still only be beaten by Viking players that knew how to play Vikings. You would never really get beat by a Viking player that didn't know how to play Vikings too decisively. I feel like this nerf isn't necessary. All they really did was buff Longbow, which still isn't going to be picked. Yeah, it does more damage, but it's still not going to be good. And they just nerfed all the Vikings. So overall, sad change to the Vikings, in my opinion. I feel like they're going to kind of hurt actual Vikings players that tried to pick them strategically. And people that are trying to pick up Vikings and learn them are going to have an even harder time. So unfortunate change, but we'll have to see what happens. Lucio, not surprised here. Party mix, new functionality, plays crossfade tracks to nearby allies. Every minute played increases Lucio's maximum mana by 2%. After 8 minutes of total play, increase the range of crossfade. So Lucio does have a bit of mana problem, so this is a welcome change to party mix. Boombox, they increase the range by 100, which is basically, it looks like doubling their range. Health increase from 35 to 350 to 600. No one ever really killed it, so I don't think it really mattered. Allies affected by Boombox gain 5 armor. I don't think that 5 armor matters unless it like stacks. 5 armor is nothing, so I don't know what this has to do with anything. This is kind of lame. So anyway, Boombox, I still don't think it's going to get picked. Boombox was always the vision talent, not really anything beyond that. So I feel like it's still not going to get picked. They need to do something else, maybe more armor. A bigger radius maybe would be the play, not 5 armor and more range. High 5 self-heal reduced from 125 to 80. High 5 has been very busted, so I very much can see why they did that. But we'll have to see. I firmly believe High 5 was good because of the self-heal it gave Lucio, not necessarily the burst heal he got to himself. But it doesn't hurt. I still think High 5 will be useful. I just think it might bring Sound Barrier back a little bit, which is good because I want both of Lucio's ults to be viable. Having a single target heal as an option is always something I thought Lucio needed, so I think this is good. Armor reduced from 20 to 15, just slight armor nerf, not really big deal. New functionality, increase the duration of Amp It Up by 1 second. While Amp It Up is active, enemy heroes hit by Sound Wave or Push Off increases duration by an additional 0.3 seconds. This is really good. For a long time, Rejuvenescence has always been the only talent that is viable at level 16, the percent healing. Now, if you don't have a lot of high health targets, it was always still the pick, but it was always less effective. This is actually going to be a good alternative to use in place of it. So now, instead of percent healing, you have the option of opting into increased duration on Amp It Up, even increased by even more, which is really good. I really like this change. I like the idea of being able to have Amp It Up run longer on lower health targets and not just the percent healing being the only option here. So really good change to 16. I don't know what the third one is, but at least 2 of 3 viable at 16 I think is really, really good for Lucio. Mixing fire damage dealt reduced from 225 to 160. Cost and cooldown reduced from 50 to 30%. So damage wasn't really what the 20 upgrade did. It was the heal reduction and obviously just healing yourself more as well as the unstoppable you gave yourself. But overall, good change to Lucio. I think that they say he's a dominant force and High 5 is good. They're not wrong. Overall, good change to Lucio. I think most of this is flavor text. Boombox still is not going to be viable. I don't think anything's really going to change on Lucio outside of maybe picking Sound Barrier in certain situations over High 5, which I like. Overall, good change to Lucio. I like the new party mix, and I think that Lucio is in a better spot than he was before as far as the healthiness of it, with an additional 16 that might be viable outside of Rejuvenescence, and a more on par High 5. So overall, good change to Lucio. Here's our resident Paladin, Uther. They do not want him to do anything but heal, but you know, let's see what happens. Adjusted functionality. Basic attack grants 25 armor to allies, or basic ability, sorry, grants 25 armor to allies and 15 to Uther. They're doing this because they don't want Uther to be a frontline. They want him to be a healer. I feel like they should just embrace it at this point. Level 16, Beacon of Light, self-healing bonus increased from 100% to 125. And self-healing bonus at low health increased from 200 to 250. Empowering his Q, never a bad thing. His Q is on such a such a long cooldown, but such a high heal. I really like this change. Maximum stacks increased from 4 to 7. That you can't go wrong with that. So they're buffing his late game. And additional functionality sets devotion armor for both ally and hero and Uther to 50. So what they're doing here is they don't like Uther to be a frontline. I feel like they should just embrace it and work around it. It's not going to change anything. Uther's not a frontline because of the armor he gives to himself. He's a frontline because he has an ability to stun lock and your team blows it up. The Uther main tank role is never there to sustain a long fight. It's to blow someone up quickly. This isn't going to change anything. He is still going to be used as a frontline. It's just going to be made harder and harder, but it's still going to exist. So overall, unfortunate nerf to Uther. I don't think it's going to change anything. Azmodan, a change that has long been coming. The nerf of split push Azmodan. So they're increasing the scaling on his globe from 2.5 to 4%. I love this. I want Teamfight Azmo to be a thing so bad. I love Azmodan. All right, so Q Green non-heroic damage bonus reduced from 20 to 15. Basically does less damage to anything that's not a hero. Gluttony earned for bonus increased from 3 to 4. So again, Gluttony is the team fight pick, team fight build. So they're nerfing split push, buffing team fight. I love it. But overall, good change for his level 1. Master of Destruction, which is part of his split push. Annihilation earned from heroes hit reduced from 4 to 2. So overall, again, nerf to his split push and nerf to his stack. Demonic Invasion, this is probably the biggest one. This is what makes Azmo split push. They almost halved hit the range on his ult. His ult could be cast from such a ridiculous range. Now he's got to get a lot closer. And the attack that the grunts do made slightly worse. So overall, this is a very big change. Now Azmo has to get significantly closer and can't just drop it and run away. And the grunts that drop are a little bit weaker. So overall, good change to that. Hellfire or Hell Rift, Demon Warrior damage bonus reduced from 100 to 75. This is also just going to be a split push nerf. I think a lot of people took trample here, but overall just a nerf to the minions that spawn. Siegebreaker damage reduced from 50 to 40%. Again, another nerf to split push. And Pride damage bonus increased from 100 to 125. A buff to team fight. And of course, this is what it's going to say. Azmodan PvE centric talents are proving a little stronger than we'd like. How easy they are to execute. So we're shaving off a little bit of power, crossing greatly reducing the cast range of Demonic Invasion. We're also normalizing the scaling of Global Annihilation since his Q builds are underperforming at most levels of play. So overall, really healthy change to Azmo. They are really nerfing the split push of Azmo and increasing the team fight of Azmo. I'm looking forward to playing him. I really like what they're doing here. So very good change to Azmo in my opinion. Falstad, not surprised that they're nerfing it. As much as I love Falstad, as much as I love W build, I have to acknowledge that it's a little bit strong. So Lightning Rod, his W, Lightning Rod verifies its target is in range more frequently from every second to every 0.25 seconds. So, basically it will check instead of once a second, 4 times a second. And it now has a custom range indicator. I don't know what it looks like, but I'm sure it looks pretty cool. This is good. So many times you could keep people in your range by weaving in and out, which is really strong. So overall, good change, necessary change. Damage bonus of Q build, Hammerang, is increased from 0.2 to 0.4, basically doubling it. So that's Q build is a little bit weaker. I found out after. So again, hopefully Q build a little bit stronger. W build, Lightning Rod cooldown reduction and reduced from 3 to 2 seconds. Lightning Rod damage bonus per stack decreased from 1 to 0.75. Maximum bonus remains 75%. So basically, you can get the same damage bonus, it just takes you longer. Charge functionality, takedown resets, Lightning Rod's cooldown now gained on quest completion. So now it used to be that whenever you would kill someone with W, you automatically reset your W. Now, to do that, you have to finish the quest. This is actually a lot better. Unfortunately, I have a feeling that outside of picking Falstad the camp now, because he does still have the mercenary aspect of his W, this will not be picked anymore. It's going to be Hammerang. And then W, damage bonus per stack increased from 20 to 25%. Thunderstrike damage no longer affects other lightning rod bonuses. So overall, they obviously have some nerfs for W build and a slight buff to Q build, which I think will help Q build a lot. Falstad's last changes have certainly shocked Nexus, unfortunately in part due to some regrettable bugs with some tuning to keep him grounded and a new coat of paint. Falstad is ready for his next flight. I love it. So anyway, I don't know what the other bugs were outside of the rework launch of his W build, but I don't know if they fixed the bugs. I assume so. But overall, necessary change to Falstad. As much as I like W build, I do agree that's a thing. Q build will be slightly better now, where W build and auto attack build will still be probably the go-to at higher ranks, and Q build will potentially be at lower ranks as well. We'll see if W build is still viable. It might only be on camp taking related objectives, but we'll have to see. So Junkrat. Don't know a whole lot about Junkrat. Junkrat's always been a little bit on the weaker side because of how squishy he is. So they buffed the damage of his Q a little bit. His level 1 damage bonus increase of his Q. Basically, they're buffing his Q build, it seems like. His E, which I believe is his trap, Steel Trap only hits heroes. That's actually really good. The reason for that is a lot of people would just pull minions into it to proc the Steel Trap. So this is actually a really good additional functionality, is that it only hits heroes. Not that it's going to make a huge difference. Junkrat's still going to suffer from the same issues he had before. Rocket Ride damage increased from 890 to 935. Doesn't matter. Rocket Ride's still trash. It's been a minute since we've seen Junkrat blow some stuff up. Get at it. This isn't unfortunately going to change anything. Junkrat is still going to be as playable as he was before. Junkrat always did a lot of damage. It wasn't his damage that made him not viable. It was his lack of health. And just that was about it. Rocket Ride's still garbage. Riptire's still better. You still have to hit with it. Usually if you hit someone with a Rocket Ride anyway, they're dead. So it's not like the damage boost is going to increase anything. So good change to Junkrat. It's a buff, no questions asked, but I don't think it's enough to really bring him back. My boy Tassadar. So I like this change. I've already read it, but obviously we're going to go over it. Shock Ray is channel, so it's his Q. Channel duration reduced from 0.75 to 0.6875. Basically, he doesn't self-root himself. So when Tassadar casts his Q, he stands still to do it, and that's really bad. So now he won't stand still as long. Very much necessary change to Tassadar. Induction, which is a talent I don't think is very good. Tassadar gains 10% increased movement speed. Casting Shock Ray increases bonus 30% for 3 seconds. So he gains a little bit more mobility. I still feel like the other two, Electric Fence and Plasma Shield, will be better than this one. I don't think that this is really that good. Electric Fence gives you so much like control and so much team fight potential, and Plasma Shield gives you so much survivability, whereas movement speed doesn't really match up. So I don't believe this talent's going to be that useful, but it is a nice change. It's just not going to be enough in my opinion. Beam Alignment, also a talent I don't really like. Mana cost reduced 10 to or increased from 10 to 15, which is weird because it's not a good talent anyway. Additional functionality while resonating beam is fully charged. Shock Ray's slow duration increased to 4 seconds. So increased slow is pretty nice. My go-to here is the Psionic Echo at level 7. So I still think that that's going to be the pick here. I don't think beam alignment is going to be that good, but an extra slow doesn't hurt. But increasing the mana cost is kind of on Q isn't really that great. Actually, no, I read that wrong. Mana cost reduced increase. So his Q costs less. All right, I misread that. So Q costs less. That's actually good. Again, still doesn't really add up to Psionic Echo, but a still necessary change. Shadow Walk armor increased from 25 to 35. This is really good. So at 13, Oracle and Shadow Walk are two viable options here. This is my go-to anyway. Increased armor is going to be made even stronger. Tassadar Q build is underperforming at higher levels of play, so we're pumping him up slightly in that regard. Reducing the channel doesn't change how quickly the beam begins to travel, and instead just allows Tassadar to act sooner. Basically, he doesn't self-root himself as long when he casts his Q. So overall, buff to Tassadar, which I love to see. These changes don't really do anything. I have a feeling that the builds that people go aren't going to change. This is more for higher levels of play potentially, but that might bring Tassadar into a more competitive scene at higher ranks. I have a feeling he's just going to be even stronger at lower ranks. And Shadow Walk has always been good. Overall, I love the changes to Tassadar. Very, very good, and I'm very happy to see them. So that's going to be it. So we got some bug fixes here. Doesn't really matter. But overall, good changes. Overall note about the patch, I like it. I think that they did have the XP changes in there and then they removed them. So overall, I think that is a very good patch. I think the XP changes would have been fine personally, but I understand why they took them out. I have a feeling that a lot of players were not a fan of it, especially at higher ranks. Like I said, the general consensus was that higher ranked players did not like it, whereas lower ranked players didn't mind it. So overall, they are opting more towards to teach people how to solo lane as opposed to rewarding them for not doing it correctly. I understand that. I don't necessarily disagree with that. But overall, that is going to be my review of my patch notes. Like I said, if you did enjoy this video, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification button, and let me know in the comments what you thought about this review. Check out my other videos, but most importantly, just have a good night, everybody.